Today we will talk about the circular economy, a concept that rethinks the way our economy works. Instead of our current linear system where a lot of waste is generated, in the circular economy our products are designed in a way to ensure we can reuse and use them all over again. In other words, in the circular economy, no waste is generated. Today we will talk about why we need a circular economy and what the concept of the circular economy entails. Thereafter we will discuss how we should have a transition towards a circular economy. And we have the honor to do that with no other guest than Thomas Rau. He is now in the public, but we will sit in a few minutes here on our couch. Thomas Rau has ranked 4 on the Sustainable Top 100 of the Dutch newspaper Trouw, and he has been awarded the Oeuvre Award of the Architect magazine Architect Arc 13 for his inspiring contribution to sustainable architecture over the past 20 years. A real pioneer of the circular economy concept. He is also the founder of Rau Architects and the company Turn 2.
Before we pick the brain of the great Thomas Rau, maybe it's also time to pick the brain of the audience right here. For example, we have a whole school class sitting here today. What did you know about the circular economy before you came here?
Moet ik Engels praten?
If you can.
I was too late, so I don't know anything.
Did any one of you watch the Tegenlicht documentary in preparation for the session today?
Yes.
Yeah, you did? What do you know about the circular economy already?
I don't know.
You don't know. Anyone else in the audience that does know what circular economy is already? We have someone over here. Thank God.
For what I understand, it's about creating value and finding ways to maintain it. So when you have a linear economy, you lose a lot of value. And so that's what the whole, in my opinion, is what it's all about. In more of an abstract way, I guess.
And what do you hope to learn from this interview?
I guess the approach of Thomas Rau and how he goes about it, how he's able to transform something. And also the business models around it. A lot of people tend to struggle on how to make a business model about it, and how he manages to get that to the public, I guess. And I'm also curious what this also means for developing countries, because that's also less talked about.
Yeah.
Interesting questions.
Thank you.
So, thank you for your answers. We'll try to answer them all. If you also want to ask your question, in the back is Amrit with our audience microphone. We have plenty of room also for your questions during the interview. We will go to Amrit 2 or 3 times during the interview for all your questions. Go to him or he will come to you for the question. If you're twittering, Twitter with hashtag RFD. And we have a very brand new live stream which is in HD quality. So the next time if you cannot make it to the interview, you can also watch it on the live stream. For now, please a warm applause for Mr. Thomas Rau. Welcome. Top.
Welcome. Mr. Rau, welcome on my behalf as well. As Injo just mentioned, you have an architect firm. How does an architect get involved in the circular economy?
Good question. I mean, we were... Okay.
Yeah, it's working.
Okay, so we started the architecture office in 1992. And we said, okay, the only way we can work is in a sustainable way. So now everybody agrees, but you can imagine 25 years ago everybody was laughing, okay, let Mr. Rau, he can do that, so we do the real projects. So it was a quite tough period. So we did this for around about 20 years. So we looked for the materials, for the energy, so all the things which are common now we did in that period. And then after 20 years I realized, okay, what did I change? Nothing. Because sustainability is changing nothing. Sustainability is optimizing the system. And if you do it in a good way, then you get all these sustainable condoms, we call them the certifications, the BREEAMs and the LEEDs and the Triple P. So you get a word of the system that you optimize the system.
So you've done work for 20 years and nothing came out of it. You were not proud of it at all.
No, but I mean, my first agenda is I want to change the world. I want to change the relation between the human being and everything that makes life possible. And in the first 20 years I said, okay, yeah, so we have to do it in a sustainable way. But then I realized this is just one of 3 levels we have to work on.
And what are the other levels?
The next level is, so now we call it circularity. Now this is the new hype, huh?
Yeah,
So everybody's talking about circularity. And then I said, okay, let's figure out what is circularity. So I started another architecture office, and you mentioned it before, it's turn 2.
Yeah.
And turn 2 is about the architecture of the new economy.
Okay.
And what are the principles of that?
So your first company, Rauw Architects, was the old sustainability. So you're still working on circular architecture in your architecture firm as well, or is it only about sustainability?
No. I have 2 firms: the architecture firm and let's say the firm about the architecture of the new economy. So we try now, since 6 years, we implementate what we figure out in the architecture of the new economy. We figure out, so we try to implementate that in our project. Yeah. So maybe we later, because some people want to know how does it go, so we can talk about that later. But we figure out the theory, the principles, and then we implementate it directly in our work.
Yeah. Also in the Tegenlicht documentary, for those from you who have seen it, you were also explaining a lot about the circular economy, and you were kind of presented as the inventor of the circular economy. Are you also the inventor of the circular economy?
No, you never can be an inventor.
But is it a new concept, the circular economy?
It's not a new concept. Nothing is new. Mm-hmm. The only thing is, what happens is that we rethink everything on another level of awareness. So this is the next level of awareness, to think about our relation between the humans and planet Earth. Because economy now, it's about economics and business. Very funny. Economy now is just the relation between the humans and money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But what we have to realize is we have to organize the relation between the humans and planet Earth. This is something completely different.
So that's also the difference between the linear economy now and the circular economy you want to talk about.
I don't know.
Human with money and human with nature.
Yeah, okay, you can say it that way, but sustainability and circularity is not the goal. It's just a manner to get to the goal. Okay. And that's the big misunderstanding. I had a friend, and he made a report from one of the biggest banks in Holland. And 2 days before he has to print the report, he got a phone call. He said, yeah, so now we heard circularity is very happy. So can you change the word sustainability with the word circularity? So that's what happens. So that means, again, nothing changed. So I think it's a very big issue to talk about the new relation between us and everything what makes life possible. And then we know why we need the circular economy.
Yeah, okay, maybe also dive into the concept of the circular economy now, because I'm getting quite curious of what the goal then of the circular economy is. So I understand the old system is not working. What is then the goal of the circular economy? What is not working in our old system, and how does the circular economy contribute to that?
Okay.
It's a big question.
Yeah, it's a big question.
You can have some time.
Oh, you give me the time?
A little bit. Well, we have an hour, so.
Oh, we have an hour. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back about what happens in 1968. What was the reason that we started the sustainable movement? The reason was the first photo, which is taken by a human, William Anders, 1968, Christmas night, 5:32 p.m. And he just awaked, he looked out of the space lab, whatever, and he saw a beautiful moment, and he made a picture. So this was the first picture which is done from the moon, from Earth, is an illegal picture. Because it was not written in the book from NASA to make that picture.
Why was it not written down?
No, it was so they didn't mention that. So he did something which was not allowed to do, and he didn't ask for permission. Then he asked permission, and then he made a second photo, and that is a photo in color. That's a color photo. But all the environmental movements, they started because of that photo. Because that was the first moment in history that the human being was aware to see, hey, I'm the guest. I'm the guest on that round table. So this round table is served for me. I didn't do it. So that means we have to behave as a guest. And if you want to behave as a guest, I'm a guest here today, so I have to look, how does it work? Is there a chair for me, or is a glass for me, whatever? So it's all about the attitude. So the attitude towards everything what makes our life possible.
Yeah, and now we have a wrong attitude, you say, or not?
No, nothing is wrong. I think we have to develop our attitude, but we have to realize what is Earth. And Earth is a closed system. So everything on Earth which is given to us, which is on the table, is a limited edition. And we know if something is a limited edition, we want to take care for it. So we have to learn how do we have to organize our economy so that we take care for all the limited editions. But the funny thing is that the Earth is a closed system, so we have, let's say, limited resources. This closed system is embedded in another context, and there we have unlimited sources. I give you an example. You know, for example, the space lab, which is just flying around the Earth constantly, it's also a closed system. I mean, if they said, okay, let's have a beer tonight, and they didn't take the beer with them, there's no beer, so it doesn't work. So what they don't have, they don't have. That's what a closed system is. They have very big blue wings because of what? Because we have unlimited energy. We never had an energy problem. We have an energy demand. But if we serve the demand with limited sources, we create a problem. And when we create a problem, we can earn money, and then we call it economy. They have the blue wings for the sun, and we could say that the sun is responsible for the first nature. So the first nature, everything, I mean, we're in university, so you learn a lot of things, but nobody is able to make an apple or to make a flower. Impossible. This is given to us.
And that's the first nature.
That's the first nature. The second nature is everything what we add to the first nature. The glass, the table, everything what is done by a human being. This is the second nature. And for the second nature, we also have a sun.
Yeah.
And it's an unlimited source, and these are data. So the data is the sun for the second nature.
Okay. So the limits are within our Earth, and the unlimited sphere around it is beyond Earth.
Yes,
In
but
conclusion,
this is the context where we are. I mean, and the next thing is, so you're quite young, but let's say now you do this for 10 years. Let's say you do it for 100 years, so in 90 years, so I guess nobody of you will be here, even me, because then we are dead.
Yeah.
Because our being is temporary.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, every being is temporary. The glass, the table, the window, the plane, the pyramids, everything is temporary.
So you look at it on a larger scale and a larger time scale.
Of course
as well.
we have to look on a larger scale. We have to look for what is the biggest ecosystem we can think.
And in order to look on a larger scale, what kind of principles do we need to implement in our economy right now then?
That everything is temporary. But the consequences of temporarity, they are permanent. So we still have to take care for the pyramids.
Maybe you have an example for this, because it's,
Yes.
I do not fully understand.
I give you an example. We still have the pyramids. So the municipality in Cairo, they still have to maintain the pyramids. So they still ask, so who did this decision? Who gave the permission to make the pyramids 3,000 years ago? So the consequence of the decision of the pyramids, they're permanent. So that means reality is, we can say, reality is the sum of all permanent consequences of temporality. So that means we have to get aware everything we do, even if it's temporary, the consequences of that will be permanent in the future.
Okay. Okay, this I understand. I hope somebody wrote it down so I can check it later. But
I think it's very simple. I mean,
yeah, but to remember
that's what we are.
So, but if we move to the circular economy, how would that look in a circular economy? So what kind of economy do we have then? You've gave many examples also about Philips in your office.
Yeah. Yeah.
How does it look like?
Okay, so let's see if we can define, based on this kind of principles, how can we define circularity?
Yeah.
I think circularity facilitates the permanent consequences of temporarity. That means we have to take care of everything what we have, and we have to handle it in a way that we still have it in the future.
Yeah.
So that will be, you're open with it. So that's why we have waste.
Yeah.
But then we can eliminate waste and not recycling and all this kind of stuff.
Do we have to eliminate all the waste? In a circular economy, will there be no waste at all, or will there still be a certain percentage of waste?
So what do you think? If everything is a limited edition, you think it's very intelligent to create waste? I don't think so. Let's look for the incinerators. We have a big incinerator in Amsterdam. Yeah. That means, for me, it's a raw material crematorium, because this is the last station of the limited edition, and after that it's gone. So we don't have it anymore. So we have to organize our economy in a way that we keep what we have and that we're not losing anything. And that means we need new business models. And I started with that, with Philips, so I come back to your question. So I had Philips on my office, I think 6 years ago. So we had to renovate our architecture office, so we need new stuff. And Philips was coming in. I said, okay, Mr. Philips, come in, sit down. Please put your boxes outside, because they want to sell lights. I said, cup of coffee, okay. And then I told him, you know what? I want to have lights. I don't want to have lights. I just want to have 300 lux, let's say 1,500 hours a year. That's it. If you at Philips, if you need lights to deliver the service light, it's your point. It's not my point. So the guy from Philips, he was quite nervous. He went back to Eindhoven, and halfway he phoned me. He said, Thomas, I have no clue what you're talking about, but I feel I have to do it. But, mention, don't talk with my boss.
Why not?
Because my boss wants that I optimize the system. But this is a question out of the system, because we don't have the business model. It's completely stupid if you want to sell a product that you want to deliver it as a service. So after 3 weeks he came back, he said, Thomas, I'm so happy, you know what, I make a plan for you, and so I put, we have 4 lamps, perfect, that's it. So I know I can give you the service light. And then I told him, you know what, I heard, I don't know if it's true, but you need electricity to deliver light. I don't know, you can have lights with running on white wine or red wine or beer or electricity. You know what, I don't care. The electricity bill is for you. It's not for me. I mean, you need electricity to deliver me light, not me. So he was nervous again. He went back to Eindhoven. Halfway he called, he said, Thomas.
But he took you seriously all the time.
He took me very seriously. He said, I feel that we have to work on it. 2 weeks later, he came back and said, so we thought about, and we said, maybe we think this is enough.
Remove the water, yeah?
This is enough. So we reduced the energy for 35%, not by optimizing, but by asking the right questions.
And what was the right question for him then?
I want to have light and not lights. And that means the business model for Philips was, they had no business model for that. So we worked on that business model for Philips now. We have now, Schiphol is now another project. So Schiphol has light as a service. So
from Philips?
From Philips, yeah. They said, so we worked together with Turn 2 and Philips to arrange that. And what happens? I mean, a lamp, a light, is designed as an organized problem. I don't know if you know the story, but there's some people who saw tegenlicht, but there's a story from that fireworks station in California, and there are more examples now. So there's a light bulb which is shining there for 110 years. The first light bulb. So in 1924, the big light bulb companies, they realized, they said, oh shit, we have a problem. These bulbs are, they shine for 100 years, so this is not good for our business model.
It's not very profitable.
It's not profitable, no. So they said, okay, let's have a meeting in Switzerland. So they invited Osram, a French company, and Philips, so they sit together, and they said, okay, we have to protect our business model. And the business model, it was to sell a product. But if the product is not getting broken or whatever, it's not profitable. So they made an arrangement that a light bulb is just running for 1,000 hours. And then it has to have a breakdown.
So, and that's the basis of our linear economy right now.
That means we have the technical manipulation of a product so that the product is becoming a problem and not a solution. Because if it's a solution, then it's not profitable. So then we have different kind of, so we have the technical manipulation, we have the functional manipulation. All of you have an iPhone and suddenly you have to change the iPhone because one of the apps, they are not running on iPhone 5 or iPhone 6 or whatever. This is a functional manipulation because no one of you wants to have an iPhone 7 because iPhone 6 is broken. No. Because you heard of your girlfriend or your boy, it's better, and the resolution and the camera. So we are not interested in the life cycle anymore. We are focused on the performance cycle.
Yeah, yeah.
And that means innovation, technical manipulation, functional manipulation is creating in the linear economy more and more waste. Because in Netherlands we have 6 million smartphones somewhere in the kitchen. They're laying there. Nobody's using them anymore.
But if it's profitable for companies to be in a linear economy, why would they switch to a circular economy? What's in it for companies to switch to a circular economy?
Because it's an ending business model. Because they realize, the linear economy means we get some raw material, we have a production process, we make a product, we have a consumer, and then it's getting waste. And then we pick something else. But if we are in the closed system, then the raw material, the stream of raw material is ending. So they realize it's getting more and more tough to get that stuff.
But do they get that realization? Because we also know from our economic failures in the last decade is that everyone thought sky's the limit and they continued in the old system.
Yes.
So are they waking up in the coming 10 years, in the coming 20 years? Or should there be a big mistake or a big boom so they wake up?
I mean, we started with this 6 years ago. We call it performance-based consumption. Huh? So you're not owner of it, but you just, from ownership to stewardship. So we just want to take the service, and if I don't like it, it's getting back to the producer.
And he is responsible.
And he is responsible for it. It's not leasing. So, it's not about leasing at all. Because what happens in the old economy, let's say Philips is making lights, they sell it to you, it's in your room, and they don't care, it will never come back to Philips. So if they make the lamp in a very bad way, it's not their problem. The consequences is not for Philips. In the light as a service model, performance-based consumption, the lamp is for the time being, that's here, or in Schiphol.
Yeah.
And after 15 years, Philips, they have to take back the lights.
So, but what is in it for the companies then? Why do they want this? Is it more profitable?
It's much more profitable because they've changed the design. They've changed the design of a product in a way that said, okay, I will get it back. So if I design shit, I will get shit back. If I design a material depot as a light, I will get back a material depot so I can use this for my production process. So in place from that, they have to buy in the raw materials somewhere else. They get more and more raw materials out of the service cycles which they organized before.
Yeah. And this is a Philips example. Philips is a very large company. Is it more profitable also for smaller companies to be involved in these circular models?
Now the funny thing is that the service business model is much more profitable than the regular, the product business model. And what I see is if we really want to change, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here, we have to change the business models. We have to show what is about the financial incentives, because we have to earn money, of course. But in the new system, we can earn money in a different way, and we can even earn more. So this, in fact, this is the real incentive for the big companies. It's not because of their grandchild or they just get enlightened or whatever. No, they said, okay, this is a new business model. I can earn more money, less risk for the future. Let's do it.
More costly for the consumers then as well, or is that not the case?
Of course. I mean, who wants to have a car? We all want to have mobility. So what is the business model of a car? So the car is not the point. But the maintenance cost of a car is 150% of the cost price. So the car company, they organize all those maintenance problems in the future to serve their business model.
So, but is it also more? Is it less costly also for the consumers to buy circular products instead of buying a car, buying mobility? Is it cheaper?
Yeah, of course, because in the old economy, I have to pay for the materials.
So it's a win-win situation for everyone.
In the new
Producers
economy,
get more profits, and we buy for less money.
Yeah, in the new economy, I just buy the service. I don't buy the material. I give you another example. You go on vacation. Let's say you want to go to New York.
Yeah.
So what you do, the first thing you do is not to look on the website what costs an Airbus or a Boeing, whatever. I said, okay, to buy a plane, I can take this responsibility. Please, I need kerosene, the captain, the steward. You know what? Cheapticket.nl, you just buy the performance flight, right? Because you get aware, if I'm an owner of something, I have to take the responsibility. And then you go in New York, you're there, and what you think if then the stewardess would say, okay, I just calculated the kerosene bill, so can I give you the kerosene bill for the flight? I said, kerosene bill? I mean, if you need kerosene to bring me here, the costs are for you. If you need electricity to deliver me light, the costs are for you. So you would never accept the kerosene bill if you're in New York. You say, I buy the ticket. No. But for Philips, you accept that you have to pay the electricity bill. Another example, KLM. They are not owning any motor of the airplanes. They're all from Rolls-Royce. Because they say to Rolls-Royce, you know what? I don't need your turbines. Just give me flight hours. Because if I buy flight hours from you, you can take care for the machine much better than me. And then you have to change the business model.
So the circular economy is also already a very old business model.
It's an old business model. That's what I say. We just bring back anything what there is on the next level of awareness. And for KLM, it's a big deal just to get everything service-based and not owner-based.
I think it's quite clear why we need a circular economy. We will move later on to how we can move to a circular economy. But maybe there are some questions about the concept of the circular economy and how it works from the audience. Does anyone has a question to Thomas Rau? Don't be shy. I see there in the back 2 questions.
Oh, yeah. Hi, I'm Thomas.
Also Thomas. Hi.
Thomas.
I have a question about how we're going to organize this performance-based consumption in the future. Let's say that companies start maintaining ownership of all their products, and so they're only leasing deposits of materials to all consumers around the globe. That would mean that material is being accumulated on the hands of companies around the world. And I can see that Thomas Piketty is hanging up there, and he very well shows that it's a danger that capital is being placed on the hands of very few, and it's a tendency that we see right now. Wouldn't it be dangerous if resources indeed become the most scarce capital in the future, and it is accumulated on the hands of a few really big companies?
Very good question.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because you're completely right. So if we stop here, then all the raw material will accumulate with the production companies. That means we have to do the next step. And the next step is we have to reorganize the whole chain. Not just the last level, not just the relation between the producer and the consumer, performance-based consumption, but we have to reorganize the whole chain. And let's reorganize the whole chain. That means the biggest chain we can think is the chain between Earth and the user. So we have Earth, we have the states, we have the mine, we have the broker, we have the supplier, we have the producer, and we have the user. Now ownership is on the right, for you on the left side, is just there. But the ownership of material, this is the wrong place for the ownership of material. The ownership of material has to be on that side. Because the mines, the states, the people, they are the owner of the material in their state. And they have to get the money. So that means the next step is, we just talked about product as a service. The next step, if we reorganize the chain, and we have a commitment about a value creation chain in the forward direction, and a value sustain in the backwards direction, that means material as a service. The future will be, we never buy material anymore.
So
Why do you want to have this bin? I mean, you don't care, right? So you can hire it from Tata and say, okay, you know what, over 30 years, we finish with this building. Over 30 years, you can take back your stuff. So the future is, we don't buy material anymore. That means everything is getting cheaper.
But who owns the materials then? Or ownership is over?
No, I don't say ownership is over, but we have to place the ownership on a different place. And the ownership of material is with the states.
So we have like maybe a kind of a communist society, but the state owns everything.
Maybe you heard about the Alaska Permanent Dividend Funds.
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Alaska, now they have a lot of oil, so they give a lot of license to Shell, and so they earn huge of money, and nobody knows where the money is. In 1974, one of the people in the parliament said, okay, let's stop that. Because you as a government, it's a kind of a sold out of our country.
Yeah.
So we want to participate what you're selling. So they said, okay, 50% of what the incomes of the license, they had to put in the Alaska Permanent Dividend Funds. And every year, 25% of the dividend funds is given to all the people in Alaska. So last year, it was about $2,000. So every pupil in Alaska, he got $2,000 from the government, because this is from the Alaska Permanent Dividend Funds. Because the oil, the material, is for the people. So it also has a big social impact.
Yeah.
Because then we have to think in a completely, look to Groningen. I mean, we have this problem in Holland. So who is the owner of the gas? What happens with the money? Do you have any idea? I have no idea. It's gone.
Yeah.
Maybe if Mark Rutte owned the gas, he would be able to pay everyone €1,000 like he promised.
Yeah. Oh, look to Norway. They have $1,000 billion somewhere collected because they sell the oil. So they keep it for the people. I think this is the future. We have to keep what we have.
Is it answering your question? Yeah. Does anyone else has a question as well? Yeah. I see one other one.
Hi. What would promote the people who have all the capital now to agree to redistribute it to the states? How could the next step in the circular economy happen when all the big companies have a lot of accumulated power now, and I imagine they would not like to let it go?
Yeah.
Or they're not aware of it yet?
No, I think we should make the mistake to think that we can change everything in one moment. That's impossible. Then we have a collapse. So, for example, we are working for BMW, and then there come the Tesla. And they said, the electricity car, no. You know, we are BMW, we are Bayerische Motorenwerken. Dus if Someone in the world knows how to make a motor, this kind of people. So they never have the idea to make an electrical car. So BMW was saying, okay, but if we think this could be the future, because nobody knows the future, they said, okay, let's say this is BMW right now. They said, okay, it's impossible to make an electrical car in that company. We don't have the mindset. We have the wrong mindset to develop an electrical car. They said, what we do, we make a satellite. And in this satellite, everybody's welcome who's working here. We think, okay, let's work on an electrical car. I think it's a good idea. So he brings the skills from here to here. If not, you stay there. Nothing wrong with that, because we have to finance this with that. In between 2 years, they developed the electrical car for BMW. And you know how BMW will look like in 10 years? This will be BMW. And then we have another satellite, and then we go on. Because the point is, nobody knows the future. And if we don't know the future, the only thing we can do is to make an option with future. And if we have an option with future in a closed system, we have to define the starting point, we have to define the ending point. For example, for a building, so we just had a building for 15 years. But then we have to organize the option in a way in a closed system that we still have, after we finish the option, that what we need before we start the option. Because otherwise, this option is facilitating something what we call waste. So that means the future is that everything we do will be a depot of material. I mean, this sofa, this chair, the laptop, the screen, everything, in fact, will be designed as a material depot. Because if we don't need it anymore, and everybody knows it's temporary, we can take it back, we open the depot, we take the stuff, and then we have the next chance to do something else with it. So I think we have to think in options.
Thank you very much for your question. Maybe now move on to the how of the circular economy. Yesterday, the Dutch government made a proposal to reuse all the waste in the Netherlands by 2050. Is it the way?
Perfect.
Perfect?
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Why?
It's nonsense.
Why?
Last year we had Paris,
Uh-huh.
and everybody is very happy. I was asked, so what do you think, what could happen in Paris? And I said, the worst thing what can happen if there's an agreement. And we have an agreement. Because if you have an agreement, you do what is possible. But we have to do what is necessary.
And that's impossible.
I mean, it's nonsense. I mean, you know what? I had a commitment with my wife. I will stop drinking in 2030. I will stop smoking in 2040. and from 2050 on, I don't have any more girlfriends anymore, beside my relation. Fantastic deal, don't you think? But it's completely nonsense, because then I don't change. So if I hear 2050, it makes no sense. If they would say, let's do this in 5 years, perfect. Because the only reason why something is not happening is because we don't want. I mean, you're here. There are thousands of reasons for you not to be here, even the same for me. There's one reason why you are here and I am here, because we want to be here. And not in 2050.
So it's a promise way too far away, but should the government actively guide our economy to a circular one, or is the government not the agent to do that?
I think the government is the agent to do that. But the point is, we don't have leadership. I mean, leadership means not to give the people what they want. Leadership means to give the people what they need.
But how are we then going to achieve the circular economy? If not via the government, because they don't show any leadership.
Okay, then we have the discussion bottom up, bottom down, whatever. I think it's both. So the government has to listen what we want, has to listen to the young generation. I mean, your reflex on the economy is completely different than my reflex. I know so many people, they said, I don't want to have a car, I want to have mobility. I just cleaned up my house and I had some CDs, and then my son was coming and said, Pap, what is this? what is a CD? They said, yeah, music, we have Spotify. So what is this kind of old stuff? So things are changing so quickly, and the government, they have to participate what is going on in the economy, in the production company, and what are the needs, and this gap they have to facilitate. I'll give you another example. In the building industry, we have, if you make a building like this, we call it the EPC, it's the energy, now, I mean, that means how much energy does that building need?
Yeah.
So it's a factor from 0.4, and 2 years ago it was 2.0, and so we're getting to 0. So in 3 years we have 0. So the government now is making a new law. So what have we do in 4 years? And they call it the Bang norm. In Dutch it's the Bang norm. And Bang means, it's unbelievable, bijna energie-neutrale gebouwen.
Almost energy neutral buildings.
Yeah. So I think we're almost in Barcelona, don't you think so? Or maybe we are almost in Berlin. I mean, you're always almost somewhere until you're there.
So, but the government is not facilitating the real process towards a circular
because they
economy.
don't want it, because they know we have to change the system. We have to change the rules.
But how can we change the system then? If the government is not doing it, we do it with some companies, but I think some companies, it's the small glass and not the big one. Yeah. So it's too small maybe now, right now.
It's powered by the people. I mean, if you have a different kind of question, then the companies have to organize a different kind of answers. Mm-hmm. So if you say, I don't want an iPhone, I don't want to have a car, I just want a phone, I just want to have mobility, I don't want to have a washing machine, I want to have my washes, it's up to you, and your question will organize the new system.
So it's the responsibility of the consumers then?
It's not the responsibility, it's the awareness of the consumer. In Amsterdam, for example, we had a big project with washing machines. So in the social sector, so if your income is quite low, then you go to the Mediamarkt, ik ben nog niet gek, en dan koop je gewoon een wasmachine. Dus je koopt een washing machine.
Yeah.
Of course, because you don't have that income. So then the washing machine is coming in your apartment, and then you do your washes, and then you see, oh wait, the energy bill is unbelievable high. Mm-hmm. Of course, because those machines, they need a lot of energy. So I saw people where the energy bill was 3 times higher than the rent.
Whoa.
And then they say, okay, if I don't pay the rent in Holland, I can stay 1.5 years because they set me out. Mm-hmm. If I don't pay my energy bill, I will have a problem over 4 or 6 weeks. So let's pay the energy bill. So the woningbouwcorporaties, they get more a problem to get the rent of the people. So they asked us, so Thomas, can you help us? We said, okay, let's deliver to that people refrigerators, washing machines, performance-based. So they don't have to pay for it. Mm-hmm. Because then we can give them a washing machine where the energy amount is very low. So we met that with Bosch. Bosch was very happy. We had the machines. It was sold out in 12 hours, by the way.
Whoa.
It was unbelievable. So Bosch was coming with the washing machines, a big truck, and a bus with all the marketing people. And then Bosch was coming and said, Thomas, it's a great idea, fantastic. But just one last question, and then we roll out. I mean, if there's a problem with the machine, if there's a breakdown, for example, who is paying the maintenance costs? I said, very simple. In the old economy, the maintenance costs are for the consumer. In the new economy, the maintenance costs, they're for Bosch. Because you deliver washes. So this guy here needed a breakdown. He said, okay, so we had a huge problem because, Mr. Rao, I know over 3 years there will be a huge problem with the water pump. In 5 years, the front door will falling down. And in 6 years, we have a backfire in the machine. Because we organized the problem. That was our business model.
He acknowledged that to you?
Yes.
Openly.
They took back all the washing machines. They said, okay, we have a washing machine which is running for 15 years without problem. Please, let's give to the people that machine, because otherwise we have a huge problem. That's what happens. And I tell you, this happens with all stuff. Because a product is an organized problem to serve the business models of the producer.
But why doesn't everyone in the Netherlands right now then have a washing machine that lasts at least 10 years or for a very long time? What is the obstacle that's stopping Bosch to selling the service of washing instead of the product of washing? Because there's profit, right, for them to make.
There's much, yeah, there's much more profit, but then you need a different mindset. I mean, everybody knows it's not real healthy to eat every day by McDonald's. We know it. But who is going to, so I don't ask, but shall I ask who is going to McDonald's sometimes? I think nearly everybody. But we know it's not healthy. So it's about the mindset. So then we come to the third level. So we started with sustainability is optimizing the system. Circularity facilitates the permanent consequences of temporarity. And then we have the transition.
Transition of the mindset of the consumers, the producers, and ultimately
Exactly.
the government.
And the government, yeah.
And the government. So we don't need climate change. We need mind change. We don't need a system change if we have done mind change. So we have to create, we have to work on our mind change. And this is quite tough. I mean, if we would say, let's run a marathon, so I won't come further than maybe artists, and some of you, maybe you make 20 kilometers, because we know we have to exercise it. And we also need the mental fitness. We don't have the mental fitness anymore to think in a different way. That's why we have to work on, and then we create all the other things.
I'll come back to that. First, an audience question.
Yeah, it kind of connects to the third level that we're talking about right now, because you said that we need this mindset change in order to accelerate the transition. But you were also talking about a different connection between people and the planet, and we were all first focused on the economics and business. But what then do you think that it is in the concept of the circular economy that's becoming, in my opinion, much more of a buzzword also right now, like companies changing, okay, CSR plus circular economy, we're good to go. What do you think is actually the real accelerator of the mindset change of both companies, both people, and the government? Is it the value in economics and business that is in the circular economy, or is it really our connection to the planet and the fact that we have to get rid of that ownership because, you know, then someone else can do something good with it?
Good question. Big question as well.
I think we have to translate everything we do in a kind of a financial incentive. So, I mean, nobody is changing his business model for his grandchild. This is just good for marketing. Huh? I mean, Schiphol, they asked me, Thomas, what do you think? We want to be the greenest terminal in the world. I said, what a stupid idea to be the greenest airport in the world. It really makes no sense. But if we can show that the new mindset is delivering and creating a different kind of financial incentives, then it works. Because we have to serve the reflections from the old system to create the new system. It's not a break. It's not a break. It's not, oh, let's close the door, oh, now we're on the circular room. That doesn't work. So it's a kind of a process, but we have to think about the financial incentives. Then it works.
Is that also your problem with sustainability then? That it's mainly about making something green again instead, and not taking into account the profits and the money that still has to be made?
Green is just green, and green is
It's a color.
It's not a transformation. I mean, let's give another example. We talk about the incinerator. The incinerator in Holland, the official the official word for incinerator is thermal recycling. Can you believe that? So it's a crematorium. And the government said this is a thermal recycling process. Why do they say this? Because the energy which is gained by a thermal recycling process is green energy. So we get green energy out of the fact that we are losing limited editions finally in our system. So that's unbelievable nonsense how that works. But sustainability is, to introduce sustainability, it's always about money. To introduce the circularity, it's about commitment. I need a different relation. We need different agreements. Do you take it back? How long you will do it? How can we make it? So it's about communication. So the capital for sustainability is money. The capital for circularity is communication. And the capital for transformation is awareness.
We need to aware and communicate
And
well.
we have to work on all three levels.
I'm going to another audience question. Yes. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you for your talk, first of all. So now let's say this is all implemented and there's an entire cultural shift and everything is being recycled and owned by the government. Now, I want to innovate. I'm a guy who wants to be the new Bill Gates or whatever and build his own computer and whatnot. Now I also have to take into account the entire cycle back towards recycling it. Will this not completely stop innovation and kind of stagnate the economy as it is? Because then we'll just be stuck at the same level because only large corporations can actually finance innovation.
Good question. Let's go back to the iPhone, just a smartphone. Let's say Apple, that they would introduce the service model we talked about. They said, okay, we take everything back. Every smartphone is made like a material depot. Mm-hmm. So they had a small innovation, iPhone 8. And they said, okay, if we bring iPhone 8 on the market, so we can expect so much 7 back, so much 6 back, so much 5 backs. They said, okay, this is not a business model yet. Let's wait for more innovation. Let's wait 3 more months, then we can calculate it better. That means in the circular economy, the innovation cycle will be longer, and the innovation steps, they will be higher. So everything will get much slower, because what they call now innovation is not an innovation. It's just a nice feature, but it's not about innovation. And that means everything will get slower, but the steps are bigger, and the innovation, the steps are longer, and the innovation steps are higher.
Thank you for your question. I also want to address one problem also of the circular economy I encountered also in our research. And according to the ING, the biggest bank in the Netherlands, the financing circular business models requires different solutions than standard banking solutions. Mm-hmm. The main challenges will be the changing nature of the cash flow of the firm and the increased capital needs to pre-finance clients. Is this also something your clients and also maybe Philips and Schiphol also encountered?
Yeah.
And how can we overcome this? Because I can imagine that only large companies can overcome these kinds of problems.
Now, large companies, they need big money. Small companies, they need small money. And in fact, you're right. It's in the beginning you need a lot of capital because you're not selling the product anymore. No. It's just service based. So it's a contract. So at least now, if I sell a lamp right now, I get my money right now. If it's a service contract, maybe I get my cost back in 15 years.
Yes.
So we need a completely different financial model. But what you see is that the risk of a service company for the future is much lower than the risk for a production company. And that's the trigger for the bank to invest more in the service company, because this is a company with future and not a company for the future. And if they go on with the service models, then the money, the capital they need from the bank, they are lower and lower. Because they get the money, they will finance the service models by themselves in the future. So they will get independent of the bank. If you're a production company, you're always dependent on the bank.
So, but in the beginning you need way more capital, so I can imagine that the products at the beginning will be much higher instead of lower in a circular economy.
Now they're cheaper.
But how is that possible with you need way more money and the banks now charge you more interest rate also on it?
Okay, it's cheaper for the consumer because the consumer is not paying for the material, and the producer, for him it's a material depot, and he has to think about the second, the third and the fourth cycle of the product. So that means that he doesn't want to have back the cost in the first cycle. He wants to have back his cost over all the cycles he will organize. That means why it's cheaper for the consumer. Why do you need more capital? Because you have to finance the capital which you don't get on the first day.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Maybe also moving to the coming years, where do you think which sector, perhaps in the Netherlands, will lead us towards the circular economy? Where, in which kind of sector do you see a lot of shift going on already? Or isn't there a sector but certain companies who are trying to implement
I think the company which needs a lot of raw materials, like the car industry, the IT industry, they are the first one who will react, because they know it's more and more difficult to get the raw material. You know what the people of the BMW, what they said to me, said, Mr. Rao, the biggest mistake ever is that we were selling cars. What a stupid idea.
Because we have plenty of cars right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a big deal to bring all together all the different materials from all over the world, and then we call it the car, and then we throw it away, and then we go back again. So it makes much more sense to give a car away for mobility. And we just talked about the electrical car. So they made the E3, and the range of the E3 was about 50 kilometers. Now, after 2 years, the range of the E3 is now 300 kilometers. So this is a big problem for BMW. Said, okay, the consumer, the first adapter who bought the first electrical car from us, it was a car for 50 kilometers. If we bring in the market now the car with 300 kilometers, the value of this car is nearly zero. But if we give it away as a mobility, no problem.
Maybe move to the final audience question right now. Or how many? I see one from...
But if you make products that last for 15 or 10 years...
Can you talk in the microphone? Sorry, it's not very...
If you make products that last for 10 or 15 years, nothing is going to get better then, right?
I think this is a question about innovation again. If you have a car for 10 years, then are you going to...
get a better car
yeah.
during you have the car.
If there's an updated TomTom, for example, within the year, are you going to bring back your car and have it updated or not?
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to make a contract for 10 years. I made the contract for Philips for 5 years, because they said over 5 years there will be new lights, less electricity. So, but in the service model, you also can have the arrangement. It's okay. I take the product maybe just for 3 years or for 2 years. So it must be possible to give it back at every moment, and they have to take it back at every moment. And then they think in a different way about innovation, because the cost of innovation is now for us. Then the cost of innovation is for them. So it's a completely different mindset, because the whole product industry is organized in a way that nobody is responsible for the consequences from their own decisions. The consequences are always for the consumer. In the new model, the consequences are for the producer.
Okay, thank you. Is there another audience question? One last burning question. I see a guy in a yellow sweater over here.
Thank you for coming. Since they had mentioned developing countries, and I wanted to talk about maybe the labor markets involved in the circular economy, since you're trying to drastically reduce consumption, how would that affect all the lower income people working in manufacturing and production, I mean, especially in developing countries, and what would be the alternative for them when there's much less demand for their labor?
Yeah. So first, let's talk about labor. I mean, you're sitting here quite relaxed. Some of them very boring. I said, okay, 5 more minutes. But tonight you're at home. You have a meditation, or you have a beer, or whatever. Then you go to bed. And then you hope that you get awake tomorrow morning, full of energy, and healthy. I think that's what everybody expects for tomorrow morning.
That'll be nice.
Will be nice. Did you ever thought about that? How is possible that 7 billion people are loaded up every night without tax, without green energy? This is really an energy boost every night. And we ask tax for labor. Labor is an unlimited source and not a limited source. So we should ask tax for the limited sources and not for the unlimited sources. So I think it's not okay to ask tax for labor. That's the first thing. Second thing is, we have to organize, if the product is a service, then Philips, they have to take it back. So they need a logistical network to get all the lights back. So what you see, then they said, okay, then we don't make the production in China or in Thailand, we do it in Holland. Because then logistically, they have to move so much stuff, then it's much cheaper to keep it in the country. So that means the circular economy, in fact, creates more work locally and less work globally.
Thank you for your question. We have to finish up. It's already past 1. Last question. You already stated that you cannot predict the future, but we're going to ask you for a prediction. With all the companies now involved in the circular economy and the European Union making some policy, the Dutch government making some wrong policy on it, how long do you think it will take us to move towards a circular economy in the Netherlands?
I mean,
maybe what you would like to see and what you think that is realistic.
I mean, I started with this 5 years ago.
Yes.
And everybody was happy when I left the room because it's completely crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm here. I'm even paid, not from you, but I'm paid for this kind of ideas. So in between 5 years, there's an unbelievable transformation in this country. So I think it goes very quick. I think in 7 years it's possible.
In 7 years it's possible.
In 7 years it's possible. Yeah, because future is not a quality of time. It's a fundamental change towards the present. And I think we can organize that in 7 years. No, it's no problem. If we really want to do it, it can happen. And I think Holland is a beautiful country to organize it. So we have the mindset, it's small enough, so we have the possibility. So I hope that Holland is a front runner of the circular economy in Europe. That's perfect.
So you think it's possible in 7 years, but the Dutch government is only talking about 2050?
I mean, if you're a smoker and you go to the doctor and he said, oh, I'm very sorry, but I think you have lung cancer. And how much do you smoke? 60 cigarettes. I said, okay, so if you reduce your smoke every year with 12 cigarettes, over 5 years you're out of the cancer. That doesn't work. There's one possibility, you stop smoking directly. And then maybe you have a chance. And that's why I think it can go, if we get aware, it goes very quick.
So the Dutch government should stop smoking the linear economy within 7 years and then we'll be fine.
That's a very good sentence.
We are going to close the session right now. I would like to inform you that we have a session next week on Thursday, September the 22nd, on the Prinsjesdag, on the outlook on the economic year. It's in Dutch. It's with Arnoud Boot and Zweden van Wijnbergen, and we start at 1. But for now, I would like to thank you and Mr. Arnoud Boot for coming here today. In this
Mr. Rao.
Mr.
That's
Rao,
next week.
Sorry. For coming here on this very hot day. And let's all give a warm applause to Mr. Rao.